Very good.
All right, I'd like to call the Tuesday, October 2nd meeting of the Open Space Committee to order. And if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. We can begin with the liaison reports. Leah is not here tonight, so...
Did you want to approve minutes first?
You know what? You're absolutely right. Thank you, Pat.
No problem.
I'd like to make... anybody want to make motion on the minutes? Are there any revisions?
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Pat.
No problem.
Okay. Are there any additions or deletions to the current agenda?
You don't have anything?
Okay. All right. As far as liaison reports, Leah is not here, so if she shows up, we'll get her liaison report. If not, perhaps I can get it in writing from her, and I'll pass it along in the minutes. Pat, is there anything new from the Conservancy?
There are a few items. Sunday, October 14th at 1 o'clock, there's a fall program at the Gibraltar Bay unit of the Detroit International Wildlife Refuge. And for the entire month of October, weather permitting, that area will be open 1 to 4 every Sunday afternoon. There's an owl prowl on Friday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. That was very popular last year. You do need to register for that, and that's actually at Centennial Farm, not the nature area. Saturday, December 1st at 10 a.m., there's a Winter Birds of Westcroft. That is a chance to view the birds that winter in Michigan. And all of these items are on the Conservancy's Facebook page, if anybody wants to look. And I would imagine there'll be information on how to sign up. And a final note, on Saturday, November 10th at 10 a.m., the Conservancy holds its annual meeting at Centennial Farm.
11:10 meeting.
Yes, Saturday, 11:10 at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Are there actually owls at Centennial Farm?
I believe that they did find some when they did. I think they had 2 different dates last year. The event was so popular. And I thought they did end up hearing some. I don't know about seeing them. I'm a bad one to be relaying this. But I believe they did. And I think also Natalie Ray just does a wonderful job with all the programs. Also had a lot of information inside the farm before they went out to listen. I know there's owls around our house, and we're in a subdivision north of those woods, north of Island and Stout, so we hear them regularly. So I wouldn't surprise me at all that Centennial Farms has them with that big expanse of woods. So.
And when again was the annual meeting?
The annual meeting is Saturday, November 10th at 10 a.m.
I was looking at October.
Yes. Yeah, so it's usually the first Saturday in November. I don't know why we're the second, but...
Do you have an extra copy of that?
For notes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
But again, folks can go to the Facebook page
okay.
for the Grosse-Ile Nature and Land Conservancy.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pat.
No problem.
Pam, is there anything new with the township as it relates to the open space?
Well, Peter Cannons brought an article up that was in Michigan Township Association, their newsletter, and also the executive director of the Michigan Township Association came down to Grosse-Ile last Thursday, and Lauren Smith and Brian Loftus and I escorted him. He'd never been to Grosse-Ile before. He's from the Lansing area, and so we were able to show off the island and the open space that we preserved and the bike trails, and had a chance to open up because Peter Manns left a key and went up in the lighthouse, so he got that view.
Okay.
And he spent a couple hours here.
Did he have any comments about our open space program?
Nothing specific, but I think he left with a good impression of Grosse Ile because he'd never been here before, and he was particularly interested in the hangar, the military hangar here that we're in, because he said he's really a student of military history.
Okay.
Now,
Great.
is that article one we should scan and circulate?
Well, Peter brought this up, and I had a copy of it, so I brought it to the meeting. It's Trail Towns HIP, and leveraging your existing trail system for community and economic development.
Isn't that down at the, I think there's copies downstairs at in the Township Administrator's office.
I don't know whether Peter
Yeah.
made copies or...
No, I think there's
Oh,
I was down there today and
the magazine?
And I was running out and I just glanced at that article. And I think there's pamphlets downstairs.
Okay. If anybody wants to...
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I just made a couple notes here. This guy who did this study said that trails can provide residents and visitors with a chance to disconnect from the bustle of everyday life and unwind, an opportunity he takes advantage of himself. So, good comments on trails.
If there's articles, if I believe there's copies of that down on the desk, and I think before I leave, I'll make sure I get myself a copy, and I think I would encourage
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
everybody here to grab a copy. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to do an article for the Eel Camera because I've tried to get a hold of the editor to see if she wanted to do a story on our young man that did the native
Sure.
trees of Grosse Ile, and she's never stepped forward and said she should do it or I should do it. So I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to meet him down by the Downy Hawthorn, which is a champion tree, and take a picture and just do a little write-up that he's done this as an Eagle Scout project.
And is that available downstairs? Okay.
Yeah, we printed 50 copies of it.
Okay.
And then we can say that they're available if anybody, because he's put the GPS location on each of these if you want to see an example of the trees that he's identified.
Okay.
And this is just a note I found in my open space folder here, that on 5th Street off of Bellevue, way back when a forester came on the island, and we were trying to find if we had any champion trees on Grosse Ile besides the Downy Hawthorn. And we don't know whether this classifies, but we found a 350-year-old, I think it's an oak, on 5th Street. And it's on private property, so it's not an open space, but it seems like if you got a tree with that, in that age bracket, we should make something of it, or make sure it's protected, or...
What I would suggest is that to find out if it's on private property, find out whose property it is, and approach them to see if they'd like to have some sort of recognition be put on the tree. Okay.
350 would make it about 1650.
No.
Is my math right?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool.
That's 50 years before one of my ancestors came to Grosse Ile, right?
I've got a couple other items, but they don't have to do with the township.
Okay.
And if I could bring that up during the roundtable discussion.
Okay, fine. Anything else, Pam?
And that's it for now.
Okay, thank you very much. Dale has a copy of our evaluation of the property that a person has offered for sale. I tried to contact him today to see if there's been any progress in negotiations, and I haven't been able to get in touch with him. So if I do hear anything, I will put a note in the minutes of the meeting. It won't be specific, but just way of communicating it. We are looking at a piece of property, and let it go at that. But I'll find out specifically
Did
when
you
he's done.
emphasize free?
Pardon?
Did you emphasize free part?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's all I have for as far as the property acquisitions is concerned. The next item is to finalize the overseer's assignments. I think we're almost there. In front of you, in your package that you have, you can turn it over, and I just want to go through it and make sure that we have agreement on it. What I'd like to do is, once you folks have agreed to this, I'll make a copy of it, and I'll also attach a copy of the open space locations and trail guides, and I'll put a notation next to the areas here as to who they belong to, like I did before. All right? So if I can start off with you, Pam, you've got, I'll leave this here if you want to look at it. You've agreed to take about what you had before, Manor Woods, Parkway Woods, and Gray's Drive. Are you agreeable to that?
Good.
Okay, thank you. Woody? Okay, you've got east of the Bird Sanctuary, the Horse Mill Greenway, the Parkway Open Space, the Horse Mill Open Space, Marion Park, and Wendell Court, which is quite a
I
bit.
think I took Wendell Court, didn't I?
Or did-
I don't remember.
Yeah, because I'm
Okay.
back and forth. It's between me and church, and it's no big deal.
Okay.
Okay, so, all right, Marion Court, is that up on,
That's way north. It's this one here.
Paulina's? Or is it on the other side?
Right.
It's on the other side, is that Meridian side?
Yeah, it does look like it's on the Meridian side.
Paulina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in that area.
That's Marion Park?
Marion Park.
If you recall,
Is there a
that's
sign out there so I can find it?
It's easily observed, at least from the Paulina side.
Okay.
on the
Yeah,
other
if you
open-
recall, a couple of years ago, there was a resident that wanted to put a trail in.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's
Like we could forget.
And we ran into a lot of discussion on that one. So, okay,
Okay, so the Horse Mill Greenway and a Horse Mill Open Space. Is the Greenway on the north side and open space is on the south side?
The numbers.
okay. I've got number 4,
That's the Bird Sanctuary, I remember, I know
Yeah,
where
we're talking-
that is.
number 5.
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
5, number 18, number 6, and
They're
number
they're
1.
across the street from each other.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at 5 and 6.
They're right across, okay.
Yeah.
One is just a short little blip right here.
Right.
And that's, which one is that one?
That looks
Is that
like
the
it's
Horse Mill?
5.
Number 5, Horse Mill Greenway.
Right.
And that one is the open space.
Right.
And the Park Lane open space is behind the church,
Behind the church parking lot.
okay? And Marion Park.
And like I said, if
Yeah.
I can take the Park Lane one if you want me to.
Well, okay, Wendell Court is fine.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so what do you agreed with everything, and Wendell Court, we'll be giving that to you, Pat?
Sure.
Are we agreeable to that? Are you agreeable to it?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, as I
All
said
right.
last time, because
Okay.
Woody was taking so much on, which I was grateful for.
Okay, I've got the Manchester Woods, which is one area, which is this big piece of property right in here.
Take a lunch.
Yeah. Don't get lost. I have a couple of times, believe me. All right, Pat, you've got Cornapple property, I think that you agreed
Right,
to take?
right.
Okay. Now, at Park Lane and Stout,
I know it well.
Pat, it's not numbered, but you know where
I
it's
know
at.
exactly what you're talking about.
Okay?
And I'm fine taking it.
And Wendell Court, that's...
Is that the Park Lane style, is that the one where they cut the trees down so the person can walk through it?
That's correct.
Now we didn't do anything to the
We
path
recovered an
itself.
old trail, basically.
Yeah,
Just an old trail.
That's
Out of the other one.
correct.
Is that the place where they think there was cutting new trees?
I believe it is, Woody, yes.
And was it TNT doing it? We don't
Yeah,
have it.
yeah, it was TNT, I believe, and I haven't received an official reply from Dale, but I believe it was the fact that the TNT was in there doing some cutting, and we didn't give them specific directions as to the border line, so they cut down some trees, and yeah, the issue was taken care of. We informed the residents; they were very nice about it, so everything was taken care of. Okay, Art is not here, but he's agreed to take Island Woods and Lowry Greenway. Pat, you want to just...
Go ahead.
Can I take a look? I should have brought more copies of this. And
That's okay, I got my copy.
The Wildlife Sanctuary, obviously. The Recreation Area Trail. The Grow Road property.
Right.
And Wendell Court, I don't know why you got down there twice, but...
Yeah, I wondered about
I wondered, because that was
Yeah.
probably the assigning it to the wrong
Yeah,
track.
and then Loma Circle.
Right.
Okay? Agreed, thank you.
Okay, so when the court goes off, her and goes to Pat, is that where it goes?
Yes,
Right.
correct. And then Darrell, we've got the Centennial Farm and the Albemarle East River Meadows. I think that's not every single space, but I think that's some of the bigger ones. Is there any ones that we have missed?
Right,
That we
and
may
that's-
take a look. We have missed some, but I think they're so inconsequential that...
That's what I was trying to check, my anal retentive nature. Thoroughfare west of the Wildlife Sanctuary is number 2, and that's very near Cornapple, I believe.
Okay.
So I could probably take that too.
Okay. Which one is that now?
It's actually number 2.
Number 2.
It's Thoroughfare. I mean, if you just want to catch them by number, and it'll also be in my notes that I'll be giving
Two
you.
on the
Two,
big
okay.
shot? Is that the one, is it on 2 on that, when you're looking at right there, Pat?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a small part of
Okay.
Cornapple.
All right.
There's also, and as you said, some of these are quite small. There's an area called the York Properties, and that's real near the horse mill.
Yeah, that's
And that's in, yeah, I don't think we need to worry about that. And then the Bike Path Park, I think I had volunteered for that one. That's number 8. And it's real small, but it's potentially visible because it's right by the north end of that boardwalk stretch of the bike path between Ferry and Lowry.
okay.
And I had figured we'd take that because it's not too far from the end of Ferry Trail that my husband picks up regularly. And he just said, tell him, and he'll get this on his route.
What's the name of that again?
North of the bridge? I'm
What
talking
was
the
that
bridge.
boardwalk?
On the boardwalk?
Yeah.
Just north of that
Just
little
north
piece
of it.
Right there,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Like,
So that's number 8, Bike Path Park, yeah.
okay, so for a part of Pat, you got...
Who is number 19?
That's the York Properties. That's really kind of in that area, kind of inaccessible, so nobody's assigned it. I don't know if that's of great consequence. I mean, it's not terribly far from the bird sanctuary, but...
Some of this stuff is really thick.
So I don't
I was walking
see,
through, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see 22 or 23 on here, but I see 24.
And how big are those? Well, 22 is Albemarle Meadows that,
Daryl's good.
Darrell's got that one.
right.
22 or 24?
On here, it's 22.
24 he's got.
24 is Albemarle Meadows.
Well, not according to the
Well, wait a minute.
new brochure.
Am I...
We don't have through 24 properties.
Wait a minute. You're right. That should be 22, not 24.
So 24 becomes 22?
Yes.
Yes. 22
What's
is...
23?
It stops at 22.
there is no 24, and there's no 23,
Okay,
okay?
so we only have 22.
22.
Right.
Okay,
Cool.
good. Okay, I consider that changed.
And isn't Park Lane spelled with an E and 2 words?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Park Lane is Stout.
Yeah, it's okay. Everybody knows it.
We know what you mean.
Yep.
Good.
Okay, so we're set on this?
I think so, and I think we can consider this this closed. Now, as far as the fall review of the open spaces, I believe the fall is probably the best time to take a real good look at the open spaces. It's not wet. It's it's dry, and the weather is pretty conducive. So I would encourage those that have not taken a look or taken a review or an audit of the open spaces that they're assigned to do so between now and, let's say, November sometime.
Although if anybody's aware of anything large in the way of trash, it'd be kind of good to do it before dump the junk, too, if there's time for the township to get to something to clean up, although the township has dumpsters all the time. So.
Yeah, I agree. Which kind of gets to a point where we've had a couple instances where, good instances where we have cleaned up a trail, the Playscape Trail, and there's been some woods, trees that have been cut down. And I'd like to just throw this open for general discussion and see what you think about it. As far as who should do what. If there is a instance where Tony Gray receives a report of a tree that's endangering life, limb, or property, or maybe a power line, that he should, in other words, if he's informed, he should go out and cut it down as quickly as possible.
Well, if it's power line, you should be informing the utility, I would think.
I think we should be notified in the areas if he's going to cut, so we can go out and look and see too.
Yeah, that's what I was going
Because he cut some trees, I didn't think had to be cut.
Yeah, I was getting to that.
We paid for them,
Yeah.
and the bike path should have paid for them because it's right there, down their line.
Yeah.
So you're saying you'd like to see Tony touch base with...
I want to see the trees,
Okay.
and look at the trees that he
Yeah,
said.
I was getting
It means we have to respond quickly. I mean...
Oh, yeah, I'm not
Okay.
telling you about that, okay?
Yeah.
Talk about
Okay.
trees that
If there's
somebody lined up and...
if there's something,
notified.
if there's something whereby, if there's some trees which there may be some question, as you pointed out, that
Yeah, they might fall in 15 years.
he might call me, and then I'll find out who does that belong to. Then I'll call you. You take a look at it, and then
Yeah, well, I just want to see them,
give us your recommendations. Okay.
Because I don't think we should have paid for those.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Well, yeah. There's some justification for both things, and you're right, Woody.
Well, they're not about ready to fall on anything
Yeah. If there was
except the ground.
okay, point taken. Now, as far as the trails is concerned, and this is one thing that Daryl Filarski called me about. If you review your area or any area and it's a trail, whether it's on our list or whether it's a trail on open space that's been there for years, and if you see something that should be taken care of, then you do the same thing. You'll let us know. And as far as who should clear that trail, it all depends on what you have to do. I'm just offering this as a suggestion. If it takes maybe somebody going in there with some wood chips, or maybe moving a few trees around, or just moving some stuff out of the way, or maybe cleaning up a little bit of trash, or something like that, if we can get one of us to do that, we should be able to do that. However, if it requires cutting a tree or chopping a tree, or using power equipment of any kind, then we should let the professionals do that. And I just offer that to get any comments.
No, that's fair.
Does that make sense?
And I would suggest that you're the point of contact
Yes.
with the township if TNT or somebody else needs to be brought in, right?
Yes.
Everything should go through you.
Yeah, just let me know, and I'm not saying this to be egotistical in any way,
No.
shape, or form.
It needs to be one
It's
person
just one
communicating.
person contact, and then we'll take care of it. Okay?
So, Cliff, is there any difference in maintenance for one of the three trails on our published trail brochure versus a trail on that's not on the published one? Do we maintain them the same?
I don't think so. In my opinion, I think what we should do, if it's one of our trails that's been established, and I think if it's something that, if we need some mulch, if we need a trail that should be improved a little bit to make it easier to walk, but it's still walkable, then we should do what should be done. If it's a trail that's strictly been there for many years because the kids have gone through it, or maybe it used to be an old farm trail or something like that, then if there's a tree that's fallen across it or something like that, I feel we have the responsibility at least to return it back to the area that it was. In other words, if a tree is fallen across a trail, then we should cut the tree down.
Okay.
But we should not improve it beyond what we should. And another thing, too, is that we have to be very careful when we deal with these other trails, because depends on where you are. There may be points in time where that trail runs through the open space and continues going right on across the private property. And we have to be very careful when we do that, particularly at the north end of the island. There's some very beautiful trails at the north end of the island that's going through some open space and then going through private property. It's all vacant, it's all heavily treed, but we got to be very careful that we don't.
So the three trails we've identified, are we at least going to mark them and put a sign and say, this is it? Because so far I don't think they are.
Well, I think we should make that as a motion, that we do that. That all of the three trails will be identified as what trail it is. They're referenced here in the in our guide and should be identified.
That's going to put mulch down or just leave it go?
All depends on, well, if there's, I think there's mulch on most of them, I believe, but if there isn't mulch, then we should take a look at it. Each overseer take a look at it and make a determination whether we should put some mulch.
Okay. So you want a motion on that right now?
Yes.
I move that the three trails that we've identified in our published brochure be identified with a sign that tells what their name is, and that markers be available to show the beginning and the end of the trail.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
And that way, if
Motion
they go
carried.
onto private property, if we say trail ends, then we're not accountable for it.
Right. Okay.
And I was telling Pat that, because she tried the, what we call the Playscape Trail,
Yeah.
Right.
and found barriers, and she was absolutely right there. And I called Tony Gray, but I should have gone. I got to you and said, "See,
Tony
no."
called me and he said that I didn't know exactly what trail she was talking about, so that's why I emailed you on it. So,
Okay.
but we got it done.
We will funnel it through you. But did it get done? Did they?
Yes.
I meant to.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to. It's yours.
I meant to look at it
Yeah,
today.
it's yours, isn't it? It's yours. For an overseer
Playscape.
standpoint, isn't it? Playscape. Yep, sure is.
It is.
I don't think it's identified, is it?
No, it's
Parkway Woods, Manor Woods.
Manor Woods is on the west side of Meridian Road.
I don't even think that.
It's not even on there.
It is not. We should add that. Can you take that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not on here.
It's not on here. It's not even marked, is it?
Another thing Pat and I talked about
What's the
is
number,
that
is it?
we should
Hey, that's
have,
just it, it's not on here.
Oh, it's
Not
not
on
on
there.
there.
Yeah.
we should have an overseer of the trails so that if somebody wants.
Actually, I think it
said that-
might be the north side, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Pat. I
weird.
think it might be the north side of Parkway Woods, if you look at that.
Yeah.
The way McComb
So it's north
comes
side of
down,
Parkway
and the way the
Woods.
properties dead end into that open space. Isn't that, and showing that going up all the way to be behind those properties?
Okay.
So,
Well, I think as far as, I don't think we need a separate overseer for trails. And I think
Well, that's
if the
responsibility.
trail, if you have a certain piece of property and if there's a trail going through it, that trail is yours.
Okay,
Okay.
good, Ray.
How much, did you guys dump the mulch in behind your property? That trail that goes up towards, from Horse Mill,
The garden club.
the garden club?
I haven't been there to check out to see if that
But
happened.
did you people ever do that before? Did somebody's dumped mulch in there before?
They have before, yeah.
Were you the person? that
No,
gave them the
no,
say
that
to do it?
was not under me, but I will check it out. I was with Cliff today, and he said, go back and see what the status is, and I'll do that.
Because it goes all the way to the road, right?
It does, yeah.
To the road. Is the garbage can still filled? Because they try to get it emptied, but it's
Yep.
hard to do that. The garbage people are
Yeah,
sometimes don't want to
So
do it.
I'll
or
catch up on
forget
where we
about
are
it
with
or
that.
Whatever you want to call it, put in a bigger barrel, you know.
now, at one time, they were going to change the entry because of the trail that was going through. What's the status of that?
The trail's on the other side.
So-
I mean, it'll be coming, but it'll be on the front of it.
Right,
It'll come right in front of you. All I'm saying,
Okay.
you is the garden.
The- yeah,
And then it goes
okay.
right down.
Do you mean the bike path?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking the bike path now.
yeah, because I was told that the bike path, when it went in, we were going to have to reallocate the entry garden we
Is it
had.
going before or after?
The bike path trail, okay, as far as the entrance, as far as the wildlife sanctuary where the flower plantings are, that trail will go behind that total area.
Okay.
It'll go behind it and then come back out on the other side,
Okay.
so as not to disturb that particular corner.
And what happened to the garden club's request to have water there?
I had conversations with Barry Sedlock on it, and he told me in order to put water there, it costs about $25,000 to do it.
Okay.
Because it would have to be dug up. I was going to say, well, maybe we can tie this into the work that'll be done whenever we put the bike path in.
Right.
When they're doing that, maybe we could handle it there. But I'm not saying it's a dead issue, but it's on life support. No,
Because when Ann York, a garden club member, lived on the corner
yeah.
of Horse Mill and Thoroughfare,
Across the
we
street.
ran hoses from her house,
Across the street?
yep.
but she's deceased
East
now.
now, right.
Okay.
So that ended that capability.
I'm not saying, maybe we should somehow take another look at
How
that.
much water do you think we use?
Put that on a meeting for a future agenda item?
Yeah, we'll put it in, okay.
5 gallons? 10
Yeah.
gallons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 gallons?
Right now, they bring it in by jugs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, there's something, we got to do something there, I don't know.
Okay.
You know,
Because I know at Centennial Farms, the butterfly garden and the rose garden
Yeah.
now have water capabilities, which is really awesome.
I'll make it a point, I'll try and get in touch with Barry again sometime and see
Okay.
if we can't find some other way of doing it other than spending that much money to put it in.
Okay, that would be good.
Dan, what happened to that thing that you guys were doing on the other side of Parkway? We had the thing for DTE, and the lady didn't like the Apache painting of the water thing that was carrying it.
Can I suggest we're kind of off agenda here?
I know,
Yeah,
Okay.
but I asked,
okay. All right.
Back to signage, though.
where's that the water?
The Playscape Trail, I had a nice wooden sign that said Audubon Trail. And we just named it that because I had this wooden sign, and somebody picked it up. But there is a metal sign.
What we should have is like 3 signs, they're going to be all the same in terms of signage as far as design, and each sign will be unique in terms of what it is. Okay?
Will they be wooden like our
I
open
have no
space
idea.
signs?
We'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
But
what
I
we'll
don't
do-
want them...
Who's going to take the lead on that
I
as an
think-
action item?
I'll I'll contact Tony Gray, have him contact the sign company that makes the signs for the open space to see what they can do for us.
Wooden
And then-
signs or something?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I'd like
But-
them
but
so
let's-
they aren't
They can't be
for
taken, so
vandals.
they
So
can't
let's-
walk.
Let's see what they can come up with.
Okay.
Let's find out what the cost is going to be, and then we'll bring them back, and we'll talk about it, and then
Okay.
decide whether we want to do. Okay? All right. Okay, the next item is the liaison for the bike trail. At the last board meeting, I requested Eric Ranka to contact the Bike Path Committee and ask him to select a liaison to serve on our committee, because bike path and open space, I think it's important that we have communication between the two groups, just like we have with the recreation. So Eric's promised he would do that. They were going to have a meeting, and I don't know exactly where it stands right now, but he is totally aware, and I followed up with him subsequent to the meeting to say, Eric, we do want a liaison from the Bike Path Committee to the open space. All right. The next item is the volunteers for dump the junk. Woody, are you set?
No, not yet.
Who do you need?
Well, we need people, that's what we need.
I'll volunteer, but I have to
Okay.
get my schedule
Okay,
pulled
you
together.
couldn't do Sunday because you're going to do something Sunday.
Yeah, we've got another commitment, but
So you want to do Saturday?
we could do Saturday second shift.
Okay, you want to go from 1 to 4, or 12 to 1, 12 to 4
Okay.
on Saturday.
And the first shift is 9 to 12?
9 to 12.
Okay.
And I can do that, or I can do Sunday, if somebody
I can
else...
do Sunday.
Well, my husband always does Sunday afternoon. Can you do
Yeah,
Sunday
but I
morning?
talked to,
Hustlers?
who, Ingle?
Yeah.
I talked to Ingle, and he said, well, they really don't know.
Well, I talked to my husband before coming. He always does it with the
Yeah, I know
house
that.
roast, but what we agreed was if Ingo and Margaret were declining after all their years of service doing it, Ron and I can do it. So
Oh,
we'll
well,
do Sunday afternoon.
Okay, so you're
Shall we down?
Sunday afternoon?
Yep.
I can do Sunday morning if you want.
So
Woody.
whatever you have open, I'll take.
Okay, wait a minute. We got Saturday, Pat and her husband,
Ron.
Ron, Pat and Ron. And that's Sunday they usually do 12 to 4.
Okay.
Could I make a suggestion that we split it and go 3.5 hours rather than one do 3 and the other do 4?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that in that way, because
I
I've
really
got
don't
flowers
care.
that Sunday.
Do it from
12:30?
So fill me in whatever's left, my husband and I'll do it.
Okay, so we got, all right, we're at Sunday morning then.
I think Cliff said he'd do Sunday
I'll do
morning.
Sunday morning.
Huh?
I can do Sunday morning.
Okay. Then we
So
got...
what's left?
Well, we got Saturday morning then.
9 to 12?
Yeah, 9 to 12:30 now.
Pat and Dick.
Pat and who?
Dick.
And, okay. And I'll be there off and on, and we got this guy Chuck, he comes every one time.
metal.
And he takes care of it. And what we do, we put the metal in one box,
Okay.
and then we let it sit there until 1, 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And we usually have some people that want the metal, so they come in and get the metal. I've tried to do it ourselves, but I didn't have anybody. I tried to go to Fritz, and Fritz's people didn't call me back. So I got tired of trying to do that routine.
Yeah.
So these guys want it. They're making money out of it. They get rid of it.
So what kind of hazardous material do we accept? Like old paint?
No.
No.
Oh, bummer.
Well,
I'm trying to get rid of old paint.
Well, yeah, but you can do a little paint on Saturday from 8 to...
This
Don't
coming
do
Saturday?
old paint if you let it dry out. They don't want
Yeah,
it.
well, I called the township and they said put kitty litter in it to dry it out.
Yeah. As
And
long as it's
that's
not-
hazardous waste.
not liquid paint, we take it.
Right.
On the 13th, from 8 to 2, Southland. It's got the hazardous waste.
Wonderful. Wayne County's done it?
Wayne, I don't know if it's Wayne County's doing, but it's Southland. It's right in the Southland area, in the
that's great.
Southland Shopping Center, I think.
There's some brochures downstairs.
There is.
Yes.
And they often tape that to the front door of Township Hall when
Yeah.
the county makes those kind of announcements. So
Good deal.
people should check that out.
Yeah, I don't know if they take it. You're saying that. I don't. I've tried to get a truck by itself, have it drop at a certain location, at, like the DPW, like we're doing to dump the junk.
Yeah.
Drop it there, let everybody pick the stuff up, put it in one truck and take it. But I couldn't get anybody to bite, so why fight it?
Well, it's usually a more elaborate operation when they do it, where there's electronics and there's chemicals and there's...
I know, but
so-
you take it all over there. See, if one person,
I
you
see
take
what you're
one
saying,
truck
yeah.
over there.
I don't know who'd want to take that risk. I mean, because you're saying it's potentially hazard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think individuals know.
Okay, so we got
about it.
Pam, Pat and Dick on 9 to 12:30 on Saturday. And then we got Pam is in the afternoon from 12:30 to 4. Correct?
Pam and Jack.
Yeah, Pam and Jack. Got too many Pam. Pam and Jack from 12:30 to 4. And then we got not you, but Cliff from 9 to 12:30 a.m.
Yep, that's fine.
on Sunday morning.
PM.
Yeah.
And then Pat and
Ron.
Ron on Saturday afternoon from 12:30
Sunday
to
afternoon.
4.
Okay.
And I'll be in between, off and on.
You'll be on call.
Well, I'll be there. I mean, I'm
And
just,
the dumpsters have been ordered?
Yeah.
Good.
okay. And we can't take cement. We're not allowed to take cement. That's too heavy, they said. So we had them for a while. We can't take railroad ties. That's too heavy. So what we do is we take brush until it gets too full, the last 2 buckets, and then we drop it on the ground because we can't put any more in, and we need the stuff for the other places. The first bin we leave open until the end, and that's when they fill the stuff that's
Everything
sitting
that's
there.
been
the
left
treasures,
for people to
we throw it
take.
in.
Yeah.
And so that's why we don't have to carry this far.
And you're going to put stuff in the paper?
Already have.
Okay.
For this Friday and next Friday.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Woody, I'm going to be out of town Friday, so can you get...
Now, wait a minute, when's the date?
13th and
13th and
14th. Not this
14th.
coming weekend, but the
Okay.
following.
Can you get the keys
From who?
from
Donna?
Donna?
And Donna's going to help too. I think she always helps. So
Because I'm going to be out of town Friday, and I'll
that's okay.
I'll be...
I get the keys Friday.
Okay.
And when are we going to put the posters up now?
Well, I'll probably I'll make a point to call and see if they're ready tomorrow, and then I'll call you. You want them up by this Friday, or do you want them next Friday?
I think if we got to get them as don't put them too far out because people forget.
Agreed.
What do you think?
You're talking about the
it just-
signage?
The signage because people
A
have.
few days ahead.
Yeah, a few days
So
ahead,
people
but
can
if
plan
we put it
for
up-
it.
we put it now.
The only benefit of now is people have this weekend, if they do have big stuff, to be
Right.
going through the house and garage and everything.
Right. I've already taken
So-
a bunch of stuff to the road, and they've taken everything I gave to them.
Okay.
I mean, I gave them big bags of plastic, and they took it.
I'll see if they're ready by Wednesday, and I'll give you a call. And
Okay,
if you
well, we
want,
can-
maybe
we'll
we
soon-
can put them up this weekend, or
Well, we can do it Thursday afternoon. If you got it, we'll do it Thursday afternoon.
Okay,
This week, because it's going to be nice outside.
yeah, I'll call you.
I don't
If
want
get
to
it.
do it when it's raining.
No. I'll call tomorrow, see if they're ready, and then we'll put them up.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. I would do some in the morning, but I'll do some in the afternoon with you.
This thing is pretty easy to. I mean,
It's easy. It's just people come in and they just drop the
Yeah.
stuff off that maybe you have a treasure that you want to drop, and you can drop it, and 30 seconds later, somebody comes along and grabs that treasure and takes it on.
Yeah, yeah. And tires.
And tires, we take tires, but we don't take cement. People come in and they want to drop all kinds of cement.
Yeah, it all depends.
If you put ice bricks, maybe you'd want to take them yourself and put something home with you.
Common sense prevails. If somebody brings in a couple of bricks, but if somebody comes in with half a truckload of concrete they've broken up from the driveway, that's something else.
Right.
Okay, well, thanks for doing it, Woody.
Yes, absolutely.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you people for doing it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I think, is there anything else about Dump the Junk? Okay. Any other comments, and we'll start around the table? Pat, do you have anything else?
Does anybody have any comments on that little form that I circulated?
I didn't get a chance to look, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Now- I have it here.
Did you send it on
probably looked
email?
at it, but-
She did.
Yeah, I did.
When was
Make
this?
time.
Oh,
Wait, last week?
3 weeks ago.
Oh, excuse me.
This was the form?
Now, yeah, this is the form, and this is only the
Wait a minute,
content.
I remember. I sent you back a
Yeah.
comment on that, didn't I?
That's great. Once we decide what we want on it, then I'll format it so you've got enough room to print what you want on it. But I just thought this would be a good way for us to track what we report on in the fall and the spring to make sure that the actions we said we want done are actually finalized.
Oh, yeah,
But-
I remember this. Yes, I think this is an excellent idea. In fact, I want this, I'm going to use this when I go through my area.
Well, once we, say what we want on it, then I'll go in and reformat it so that when it's a cell that you're actually going to be writing in, it's big enough for you to be able to write in it.
Okay.
But I didn't want to do that kind of formatting until we knew what we wanted it to say.
I think it's great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
We
doing
needed
it.
something like this.
Yeah, this is great.
And we're looking at 4 times to walk the woods,
4 times.
spring, summer, fall,
2,
and
3, whatever we decide.
Okay.
But it'd give us some way to look back and say, oh, all of a sudden, this one area, we're getting trash dumped. What's
I
going
see
on,
no reason
whatever.
to either add or delete to this list in terms of
I
the
think
items
that's
to
good.
look for. So,
Okay.
Can you...
So I'll reformat it so that there's enough room for us to write what we want to do.
Good.
And then I'll resend it back, and it's in PDF. So you can just fill in whatever you want to fill in and send it to Cliff, and he'll
Okay.
do whatever.
Okay.
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 Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
I can do that.
Thank you very much, Pat. I acknowledge it, and then I
Yep,
got
I
involved
know
in
you
other
did.
things.
But
It was not selective amnesia either. Okay. Thank you very much for doing that, Pat.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Woody, anything else, Pat, before we...
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Pam, do you have anything?
Yeah, a couple of things here. See if I can pull them out. I thought I attached. Here it is. One thing is that in looking at future purchases, I'm looking at history here of Bridge Road, and I'm pass this around. These are before and after pictures of what Paul Smoke and the Toll Bridge Company did with their side of the entranceway to the toll bridge, or when you leave, what you see when you get on the island. And it's a before and after. And I keep thinking every time I drive that way, the bridge company is going to be celebrating their 100th anniversary next year.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, could we put in our plans for future to purchase somewhat of Purdue's property so that we could dress up the other side of the toll bridge entrance?
I think we talked about this before, Pam, and what I would suggest, I think it's an excellent idea. But in order to get around the purchasing and all the folderol you have to go through to do that, it's not Mr. Purdue, I think it's his daughter who owns
Okay.
that property.
They're still resistant to selling?
Well, it's not selling, but hear me out.
They want us to buy the
Well,
whole thing?
I don't know.
No way.
But tell her, look, when you go on the north side, when you look at the north side, it looks beautiful. When you look at the south side, it doesn't look so hot. So what we'd like to do, you give us permission to go in there and beautify that area, okay? We're not going to buy it. All we're going to do is we're going to improve it. Ask her if she would agree to that, and she might, when you want to make a little cash contribution, we could put a sign on it, know? And instead of going through the photo or buying it, just pretty it up, you know?
Yeah.
Well, there's also a compromise. If we're talking about prettying it up in a way that includes planting trees,
Yeah.
that's an investment. I wonder if they'd be willing to grant an easement. And that way, it wouldn't be developed, the township's investment
Okay.
in it might
easement-
be another approach.
Okay, an easement means that she still owns the property, but
Right.
it's like letting the DTE come in there and putting some...
In a sense, or the Conservancy has easements, rights of easement
Okay.
on properties, and it means that it won't be developed, but in this case, it would have to be in a manner that permits improvement, that it, we'd be constrained in terms of what we would do with it, but they wouldn't be able to, they would sell subject to that, so, and maybe it's more complicated than just getting permission, but it concerns me if we're taking township open space maintenance money for the purposes of putting trees in and such. I don't want to see that money wasted.
I don't know whether we want to take open space money to do that or not. My thinking is it could either be done with contributions, maybe. And I'm just brainstorming contributions, or maybe the Purdue family would like to invest maybe $1,000 or whatever it takes to pretty the place up, as we call it, and you achieve the same result without having to buy it.
Yeah, I'd never thought of that approach.
Yeah. So my suggestion would be at least make the contact. And as far as the easement approach is concerned, that sounds like it probably would be the best
Well,
approach
like
to
I said,
take.
it may be more complicated than it needs to be, but it
Yeah.
would, I think it would protect the interests of both parties. The other thing is, part of that stretch, too, isn't just Purdue, isn't part of that township-owned as well?
There's like a
what's that?
utility building
Right,
there for
because
water.
it would be nice to decorate, to landscape in front of that, too, because that's part of what looks like heck.
I would suggest maybe the first step is give her a call. Talk to
How
her
do you
about it.
contact this lady?
Well, get in touch with Carol Knott downstairs, find out who owns the property and who will be responsible, and make a call.
Appeal to her.
Sense of public
Civic
pride.
mindedness.
She probably would say, well, I'll do it, but I want a 10% reduction in my property taxes or something. But approach her on it and see what she says.
Okay,
Okay?
good.
Okay. Anything else, Pat or Pam?
Yeah, certainly. I'm hoping that we're all in agreement that we should do another survey after a decade and just get a feeling of the current sentiment of the residents about trails.
I agree with you
use of open
absolutely, but
space.
can we get that on a future agenda? I think we've asked for that a couple times to be on an agenda, but
You're
Art
correct.
needs to be part of that conversation, and Darryl should be, but
Okay.
you're absolutely right to keep bringing it up, but we need to get it on an agenda where we're addressing it.
Do you want me to put it on the November agenda?
I'm not going to be here for the November meeting, and I'd like to be here for that discussion.
How about the January meeting?
No December?
Well, we
Usually
go
do a
over-
luncheon.
We have a
No,
luncheon.
we're going to be gone in November, too.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so January would be okay?
So it sounds like
Yeah.
January is good.
I talked to a cutter approached me, and they said that anytime we want chips, he'll bring everything he wants.
Yeah, free of charge.
Who's
So
that? Who is it?
He's layman.
Keith Lehman would do
I
it.
called him and I said, I'd like a load of chips if you're giving them away. And I've never heard back from him.
Oh, okay. Well, as far as
Where you
the
give them away at?
wildlife sanctuary,
Where you
there's
want?
chips that are needed.
On your property?
Yeah, I'll check into
We'll get
that.
'em.
The,
I mean,
church.
So before we meet, since we're not meeting until
At,
January, I'll get back to you.
Okay, okay.
So we're not meeting in November or
Oh,
December?
we're going to meet in November.
Oh, okay.
I just can't be here, and
So
I'd like
at
to be...
least-
So we have to
Won't be
decide,
here.
we have to decide what day we want to meet, because we can't meet on election night, obviously.
We
Okay.
can't, that's true, I'm having a party.
Okay.
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 Now, everybody watching's going to be okay.
There you
Pat,
go.
is there anything else, Pam?
Yeah, one more. I had a chat with Denise DeBose at Westcroft Gardens, and she's getting much more receptive to the idea of Westcroft Gardens, not the commercial area, but the gardens becoming open space.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I'm just thinking, we don't have any, hardly any, I guess we have Loma Circle, open space on the west side of the island. And here is this historic farm area that has been open to the public for years, but too expensive for her to maintain.
We're not going to maintain it, though.
Well, as I see it, we have the maintenance money that we can make sure that it is cared for when needed. I mean...
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're not going to be using the money over there to take care of it like it is now.
Well,
Well, what?
my personal feeling is that Westcroft Gardens should not ever be lost forever.
Well, you know that routine that we went through before on Meridian, where we put the plants in, and then it turned into crap. Remember that, Pam?
A little garden, yeah.
The little garden turned into a big garden,
But
it turned into junk.
But in this case, Denise said that she would be the supervisor, overseer of any of the care of those gardens.
Almost like you need an endowment for that place specific.
Yeah.
It's not open space.
Would that be, would this, there are two things to keep in mind. First of all, we have $500,000 left in the open space fund.
And that's it.
Acquisition fund, and that's all we have.
Unless the voters decide that
there's an item on the ballot to quote renew the 1 mil millage. Okay, whether that's going to be approved or not is strictly up to the voters. They have to decide.
I think we're the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, whatever.
The police department.
There's a lot of political reasons going on for that, but I don't want to get into that. But the thing of it is, as far as that, we talked about this before. What you want to do is maintain or preserve part of Westcroft Gardens in the same condition or better condition than it is. It might require a special millage election to do that. Okay? But first of all, we have to have Denise's approval to do it. We have to be specific in terms of how much would it cost to buy that piece of property. Secondly, how much would it cost to maintain it in the condition that it is right now or in a better condition. Once those two questions are answered, then we'd go ahead with either possibly a special millage on it. I'm not opposed to it. Personally, I'm not opposed to it. But that's what has to be done. Okay.
Well, Tim O'Donnell came up with the figure of $350,000 for just the gardens themselves, not the commercial side. And Denise's thoughts is that she would like to maintain the commercial side for, say, another dozen years. And so it would be just the gardens themselves. And he's put a price on it, but, you know, there's always a better assessment or...
Before we seriously consider something like that, whether it's part of the open space program or whether it's a special endowment program, we have to, in other words, we have to sit down and be very specific about what we're asking for. And I think Denise has to be part of that.
Yeah, well, she said that she's much more receptive to the idea, and she's going to be talking to her family about their thoughts. So
all right. We'll just
it's
keep
just, you know, open space, we may not have any money in the bank.
Well, we only have $500,000 can be taken up just like that.
That's what I'm thinking.
So,
But I just wanted to keep the thought alive.
Okay. But why don't you take the lead on this? Keep us informed of what's going on, and one of these days somebody's going to have to sit down and draw up a detailed plan for it. And I think that's what's required. Pat?
A clarification, and I know I should know because I just got my absentee ballot in the mail. The open space millage that's on the ballot this fall is maintenance or procurement? It's procurement?
Procurement.
Okay. Are we taking any kind of position? Have we thought about an article in the paper? Recognizing that the board acted on this without consultation, are there pieces of property that, as a committee, we think would really further contribute to the program overall, and so we would like to see the voters pass this, and if so, is anybody prepared to write something about it? I mean, I'd be happy to work with somebody on that, but I don't think we should just let the voters decide without at least expressing a position.
Didn't they move up from wasn't it a quarter, a half a mil before?
No,
They want to jump to a quarter a mil?
This is the acquisition millage we're talking about now. There was a 1 mil was on the books, and it was on the books to be collected this last November.
Right.
But the township decided not to assess any millage on the tax roll for November or December of 2010. Okay?
Which you could do again, even if the voters pass this. It's the township board's call to assess it.
That's right.
So,
but I think what we should do is, again, I'm expressing an opinion, okay? And the opinion is that I think it would be proper to write an informative article telling them this is the number, we have X many acres of privately owned vacant land on Grosse Ile, okay? And this is about what it's worth. This is what we have in the bank right now. And the decision to either approve or not approve this millage is ultimately up to the voters. But to your point, I think it'd be a very good idea to write an informative article on this. And when we write the article, we'll do it I would suggest we do it in the draft form. We'll discuss it from the Open Space Committee, and then put it in the camera.
well, when you say discuss it, circulate it in email, because there's not time to do another meeting.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to take the first pass on that factual assembly, and then I'd be willing to take the next one to take a position, and if folks don't agree with it, we can work that out, but...
And I think we should do it fairly soon, because absentee ballots are out, and some of those folks
Do you
vote
think you can do something by the
early.
end of the week?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
By the way,
I appreciate it.
Well, the police millage is getting a lot of support from a semi-police related organization.
Yeah, I simply, the point is there are two, I wrote an article when I found out about this from the EO camera that they were going to assess the millage, okay?
Excuse me.
You talk about,
Not assess it, put it on the ballot.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we were never consulted, and I wrote a little article about that.
Okay.
So I'll write an article, and I'll pass it to give it to everybody, or give it to you first?
I mean, no reason not to give it to everybody, but I figured I'd take the second pass on it.
All right.
Anyway,
I'll write the draft on it,
okay.
and I'll send it to everybody for their comments, okay?
Okay.
And then maybe we can get it to camera. Good grief.
Like, next week would be good.
Yeah.
Because of the absentee ballot
Now,
issue.
Cliff, I think when you were orienting me to the group, one of the questions I asked you was, well, has there ever been a study done as to how many people the island can support? And you had said there had been a study and that 12,000 was the magic number. I think we ought to make the residents know that this study has been done and that this is the number. So for all of the police and the fire and the sewers and the schools in our area, 12,000 is the magic number. And so therefore we want to have enough open space acquired that we really don't exceed too much over this.
Yeah.
We have room in the schools, though. We can take more kids.
Well, yeah, but you can get it different ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll put it together. That study that you're talking about was about maybe around 13 years old, but it's still valid.
Well, I mean, it's still the same infrastructure, right?
Absolutely. We have
You know, and that's what we're talking about here.
And I think it included the bridges, how much traffic the bridges...
Because I know there are some people who were running for council at one time who were saying, we have to bring more people into the island, we have to bring new blood, etc. And I'm thinking, that's really great, but how much new blood, how much can we actually handle?
Yeah, I think there's some people, I think there are very few, who say, well, maybe we got too much open space now, but...
Well, that's why I think we need
There are
to
people out there saying that.
let people know
Because it
that
all ought to be plowed
if you
under
want to
for
keep your quality of life and your quality of living, that this is the magic number.
being very parochial about this, why I was a little bit upset, because they asked for a whole mill. Maybe a half mill would have been more responsible,
Yeah.
more palatable.
I think it would have
But
gotten in.
what was
Yeah,
done
we
was
can do
done.
that next year if...
Okay.
And I think another thing is that some people say the reason why we put open space as an issue in buying it is that we want to prevent development. And I don't think this is so much a strong argument now. I mean...
Well, that's what they changed the square footage for.
Yeah.
Before it was small houses, small squares,
Yeah.
and one of our boards wanted to make it big, so it was hard to
That discouraged
person
development.
Yeah.
against the vote.
And young families.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's going to pass or not, nobody knows, but let's just put the information article out there.
Well, that's what I was looking for.
I think
That's all I
that's
got.
a responsible
Okay.
way to handle it.
Okay, I have nothing. However, we're waiting with bated breath.
Oh, for all the recreation
Yeah, what's happening in the area of recreation?
It didn't take us so long to prepare the chicken divan. It took a long time to clean up. So, well, at this point, we had the big golf fundraiser for the skating rink. Notice I said skating rink, and lots of people misspeak and say hockey rink, but it's a skating rink.
It's more than just one thing.
That's why we call it a skating rink, not a hockey rink. And the last cost I had, or last figures I had, was $29,000 was raised.
Well, that was great.
So it matches the grant kind of things that we had going, and we're going for more.
So the skating rink?
We'll have it next year, too, right?
Yeah, right. I think it's going to be kind of an annual
Well, it's
kind
gonna
of
be a
thing.
permanent
because it was-
thing, isn't it?
I think
And all
so.
the kids
because-
benefit out of it.
Yeah,
Not
it's
just a
really
certain
fun,
faction.
and it was fun. I played in it, and,
Great.
with 3 friends from, and we had a good time. I had to miss our meeting last Thursday, but there wasn't any business on it. We're still trying to resolve this issue about where the township board is and wanting us to pursue a non-motorized launching site.
Okay.
And so, quite frankly, informally, we think the best place is Water's Edge. Because there's parking there, there's restaurant there. It's becoming a real, if you were down there at all, the kids and adults are playing basketball and soccer and,
But there was
et cetera.
safety concerns there because of the marina itself.
I hadn't heard that, but I'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Okay, that's why I had heard that it had been downplayed before, was concerns about proximity to the bigger boats.
I'll check, that's not something I have heard.
Okay.
Oh, so it's not been discussed at
Okay.
the board?
I wouldn't mind if you would bring it up, please.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
And they put something like some railroad ties or something to divert the water. So
Oh, yeah.
And they put the things in there.
Right,
the
that's what-
kayak isn't leaving them,
Yeah.
and they're trying to So I get it, it's done.
Yeah, right. No, in fact, that's a concern with that one, as you and I discovered when we were doing ours, that the current is there. But the people who know better than I say, if you go down further to the end of the property, that there's a nice little covey area there. But anyway, that was going to be discussed, and, because we just keep trying to resolve that, and we're not getting direction on where we're supposed to go with that at this point.
Will you get better direction with a new board done?
We can hope. I don't know. I think it's just a matter of everybody's busy, and that one has been so controversial.
When I look down in that area, like the marina ends here, there's apparatus for launching boats, and next to that is kind of a rock pile. And I'm wondering if that could be cleared and...
I think that's the area they're looking at.
Okay, because it's so near where you can go round a little bend and you're in the thoroughfare canal, and you can avoid mainstream river current.
Well, those are things to look for. And so and then the marina has done relatively well this summer. There were a number of thefts or attempted thefts, but it has been a happy place. The concerts down there were well attended and enjoyed by a great variety of people. The golf, I think, keep your fingers crossed, we're going to break even this year. I'm not positive, but I think the golf, despite the super hot weather, and the course is in great shape. If you walk down the course, it is in great shape. So the new channel is out for the programs for next year, and at this point, that's kind of where we are. I'm not. If there's anything else, I'll let you know before our next meeting, so I can get some feedback. But
pool. The pool.
Oh, the pool. Yeah, the pool has had some problems this year. It's an older facility, and I don't want to itemize what those problems were, but they were costly in terms of, I think, they need filters and et cetera. But it's closed down, for the moment. But once again, that place was just hopping all summer long, right up until September 1. So it's just fun to see, especially the kids. They pick up basketball games, and they've even been playing, what's that paddleball game? Pickleball. I was down there one night, a group of adults had both courts were filled,
I guess you're going to move the beach volleyball area too, or is that...
Well, that all is going to be worked out in terms of, where the skating rink will be. I kind of would like to see the skating rink just kind of run parallel to the 9th hole. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it looks to me like a pretty good place for it, and then you wouldn't have to move, those places. Oh, and then we had the goof up with, we repaved, finally got that paved, just part of the lot. And I don't think I'm going to say this right or not, but I think there were 14 places for people who don't have disabilities to park, and 18 for those who did have disabilities.
Yeah.
And so the last time, and plus I was kind of ticked off about that because I like to park my car closer to the swimming pool so I can just take my clubs out, put them on the walk, and go in. Well, I couldn't do that anymore because it was all handicap parking. Last time I was there, however, the ones that are on the south side have all been covered up with plastic and X's across the handicap sign. So apparently Rooney had Tim had enough people who were saying this is silly. Somerset doesn't have this many handicap parking places.
Yeah.
But so anyway,
Sharky's.
Sharky making it. I don't think we're still working both there in the Centennial Farm. We're still working with staff and legal to get the new agreement. But they're continuing to operate. Excuse me, regular.
You got to run. Okay.
Now, the theft and the loss, do they know?
I think they were caught. Yeah. But I mean, somebody was on the boat when that was what was kind of scary.
Yeah.
People on the boat.
Well, the thing is, what happens when somebody is caught?
Well, talk to the police about that, that's their job.
Yeah, because I know, now we're located right by the Hickory Island Yacht Club and the Grosseal Yacht Club. And we have caught vandals
Have you?
and turned them in, and within an hour, they're gone. They're released to their parents. And that is no deterrent at all.
Well, that, that could, I'm sure that's true, Pat, and,
Yeah.
but that's,
That happens all the time, though.
Yeah, that's
It's
the way
not
the police-
this
Yeah.
situation.
But I mean,
yeah.
maybe they need to reconsider how they handle that.
Well, I'll mention that. And then the other thing, of course, the play areas at the airport are, the soccer is, they've made tremendous progress with the fields and et cetera, so
Are they doing football there?
I don't know. It's mainly soccer and soccer.
Because there was a
But there
big
were
line
some
of
football. They
cars
were
when
going
I-
to do some football there. I don't know.
Where is that?
At the airport, the
They're gonna do-
recreation.
Right here, they're going to do
Yeah.
football over here?
Well, I hadn't heard, I don't know. I wasn't at the last meeting. But I know there was some push for, for some football fields there, and it is in the master plan, But it'd be more of a practice than it would be, and for flag. In fact, I just recently, and I got to talk to my head football coach nephew, heard some new statistics and new books out about helmets and football. And, of course, I agree with this, flag football until you're 14. Learn the strategy. Don't go crushing your heads and et cetera.
Right.
Learn strategy. So I got to talk to my nephew. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on with rec.
Okay, I think we're pretty well set. Again, Pat, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh,
Okay,
you're welcome.
get it to me and I'll send it out along
will.
with, I'll make it a package along with the assignments
As soon as I get back
and the
into
map.
town.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Approved?
What time is it, Cliff? Dinner's at Patello's for on you, that's what it is.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, I tell you
You
what.
and I will have a nice lunch and I'll send the bill to Pam. How's that sound? Okay.
I'm glad I finally got here.